CW-TCM, they're services that's designed to help children under the age of 21 and the child's family gain access to needed social services, health, education, and other services that are identified in the child's plan. It's a coordination of services that includes referrals, communication with other providers, continuity of care following the case, ensuring the child's needs are met, and access to services. And on the next slide, slide 3, these are some examples of targeted case management. And they're really kind of taken from some of the federal regulations, but it's kind of a continuous wheel, like an assessment when you're identifying a person's goals, preferences, and this could include medical services, behavioral health, education, other social services. And planning, you know, when you're documenting a person's needs or goals or strengths, when you're sitting down with the family and writing a service plan, you're looking at a goal, you're coming back to monitor that goal. And then referral and linkage, and that's really like when you make a referral for a dentist, or you're putting, you're serving kind of as a in-between to make a referral to what might be needed for the child and or family. And then as the wheel goes on, monitoring and coordinating. So this would be like a review of the progress, the effectiveness, do we have to do a course correction? You're always kind of monitoring and coordinating. And I like this slide because when we get to actually writing the contact note, these are some of the elements that involve targeted case management. Ross, if you move on. So, as mentioned, under the age of 21, on medical assistance or Minnesota Care, and meeting one or more of the following statutes of eligibility criteria. So that's at risk of placement or in placement, at risk of or experiencing maltreatment, or 260C.007 in need of protection or services. So on the next slide, these are the elements that need to be completed in order to claim CW-TCM. An assessment, and that's indicating one or more of those 3 statute criteria that the child meets. And a case finding can be very brief, but it's a statement tying the assessment as to why the child is eligible and the reason for case management services. And this is an agency determination for eligibility. So thirdly, we need to have a service plan in place. And then, of course, documentation, the actual contact, the document of the visit itself. Next slide, please. Okay, these are some examples of case findings that meet criteria. As you look at the first one, the child is at risk of placement. Even if after a 72-hour hold, the child went home, the agency still might have concerns that services need to be in place due to at risk of placement. Of course, the middle one is experiencing maltreatment. And lastly, a lack of supervision for a 5-year-old. There's some services that the agency is concerned being left alone, home alone overnight. The next slide, it just shows some examples of a case finding not meeting criteria. And case findings are important because it's the initial finding that can live throughout the case. So these are some, and not saying that each circumstance the child wouldn't be eligible, but they need just a little more explanation. The child seems to be having some behavioral issues and isolating at home. Again, where is that child at risk of placement or at risk of maltreatment or specific need of services? Agency received a maltreatment report. Again, a little more information as to the circumstances of that report. Children with a developmental disability or a mental health disability, they're not automatically eligible for CW-TCM. They would have to meet one or more of that criteria, and the agency would make that decision through their assessment. Parent might be receiving chemical dependency treatment, and how is that, or how has that had unsafe conditions for the child? So always kind of tying back to those three statutes. Ross, let's go to 8. Okay, I've been assigned a new case and have met with the child and family. The child is eligible for CW-TCM services. What needs to be completed and entered into SSIS on the eligibility screen when we are ready to begin CW-TCM? Obviously, doing this by phone, I'm not seeing a chat and other faces, but I'll just let folks think about this for a minute. Kind of going back to that slide, remember the assessment, case finding, service plan. And we'll go through some of these slides, and of course we have the experts with us with SSIS. But Ross, you could page to the next slide. So we want to start on the supplemental health care eligibility page, and we're going to start for a new CW-TCM eligibility. Next slide. So this screen begins that eligibility process. So on the very top, there's a determination of one or more of those 3 criteria that the child met. The next one is the selection of a service plan. And then when that plan is completed, you'd enter that service plan date, which, as you see, autofills to the CW-TCM effective date. And so that begins to generate CW-TCM claims at that effective date. Also, there is that field, of course, for the CW-TCM finding, that brief statement that ties the assessment and the reason for services in that narrative. I'm thinking with an SSIS mentoring group, you've all seen this, but maybe for some that are new and working in the field, some of this can be helpful. So you can surely share it with your staff. Next slide, please, Ross. Okay, let's talk a little bit about CW-TCM service plans. As you can see with the following slide, these 5 areas are outlined in federal regulations, and it's true really for all forms of targeted case management. With CW-TCM, the child's plan may be part of a family plan, like in a family assessment plan, or it can be an individual plan. But when it's in a family plan, the children need to be identified individually and have individual services, action steps, timelines, their goals, and the people that are responsible for carrying out the goal, working on the goal. And the next slide also has some service plan requirements. And CW-TCM is a voluntary service unless the services are ordered by the court. So plans do require a parent or signature. Plans require a parent or guardian signature unless the plan has been ordered by the court. The plans should be updated as needed, but by statute must be renewed every 12 months. And if your CW-TCM plan is within, let's say, an out-of-home placement plan or a family assessment plan, then it must be renewed according to that plan's statute or rule. So, for example, maybe an out-of-home placement plan every 6 months, or some are asked by the court every 90 days. And also, all children in out-of-home placement, they require their own out-of-home placement plan, and that's according to statute. Okay, Ross. Next slide, please. These are just some examples of a CW-TCM goal or a service inside of a plan. I'll just kind of let you read this, but here it's been determined that John is in need of special education, so that's the goal. The case manager will assist in a referral process with parent. So that's kind of the people that are responsible. Parent and case manager will meet with John's teacher to review the results and assist John in meeting his educational and speech therapy needs. So those are action steps. And then the timeline, we're going to review this plan in 3 months. I often get asked about how do you write a goal for a small child or an infant? And so this is an example. Betsy, an infant, is in need of regular feeding times and formula. So the case manager is going to provide the parent with a local WIC clinic referral, and parent plans to attend the new parent class scheduled for the next 3 months. So it's specific to the child, it's helping the child. Sounds like there's going to be some people responsible here, with the case manager making a referral and parent assisting to take the class and ensure that it's done or followed through. Next slide, please. You know, this is some agencies have their own structured way of providing goals. This is just an example of a case planning tip called a SMART goal. So it's going to be specific to the person or family. Is there a skill to learn? You know, what change do we want to make? Is it measurable? How will you know? Maybe by school attendance or something you can observe. Is it achievable? Is it attainable? And we of course we want the goal to be realistic and clear. Are there resources? You know, are there inputs and resources that are available? An example may be consistent transportation to get somewhere. Realistic, relevant. Is it person-centered? Is it something that the person and family need or want, and instead of just kind of a cookie-cutter goal, right? And tangible. Usually a time, it doesn't go on to infinity. You know, what is the timetable that we're looking at? Okay, next. Oh, and by the way, I think you need to complete your foundational training, but the Minnesota Child Welfare Training Academy does have some specialty courses on case planning. Next slide, please. Okay, as we mentioned, a CW-TCM plan must be renewed every 12 months. If CW-TCM is within another plan, we update that according to that plan's renewal regulation. So we right-click on that annual review tab and select new CW-TCM review date. And it's good to note that a billable contact date must be within 1 year of the annual review date. Okay, next slide, please. This is another question that comes up. Should service plans be family-focused or child-focused? I'm just going to let you all think about that for a minute. Plans should be family-focused. However, each child needs to be named in the plan along with specific services identified for each child. So if you said family-focused or if you said child-focused, I guess either answer would work. But just keep in mind that when CW-TCM is in a family plan, it's considered an individual plan for each child. Next slide, please. Okay, what a 3 years it has been. I'm sure you all recall that back in March of 2020, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, there were modifications made to eligible contacts for targeted case management. And specifically, the Modification was the use of phone or video conferencing to meet the face-to-face contact minimum requirements for CW-TCM. And this waiver continued throughout the federal public health emergency, and as you know, ended May 11th, 2023. So in this 3-year period, for claims that come through and billing that comes through, you document in the case note which method of delivery was used in lieu of face-to-face. The bulletin that's referenced here, DHS will keep that link live, even though the next slide will show the new bulletin, but it will be there for historic purposes and guidance for the billing that has occurred in that 3+ years of under the pandemic. Next slide, please, Ross. Okay, the new interactive video standards. So effective May 12th, the Minnesota Statute 256B.0625, Subdivision 20, went into effect. And this allows interactive video to meet face-to-face contact requirements for targeted case management. The exceptions for this are children in out-of-home placement and children that are receiving child protection case management. In those two circumstances, in-person or face-to-face is required. And for SSIS users, just keep in mind that an out-of-home placement would be the continuous placement folder in SSIS. And if you reference that bulletin that's on the third bullet, it gives greater detail to what constitutes foster care, and it's strictly taken by Minnesota statute. And as we mentioned, for child protection reasons, and so what does that mean? That means children that are in a child protection work group. So that would mean case management, that would mean family assessment, family investigation, facility investigation. So those two areas, when children are in that scenario, they need to be seen in person. The exception to this, for folks familiar with CW-TCM, when a child is in placement 60 miles or more from the agency border, they can utilize phone to claim CW-TCM, and this can occur for up to 2 months before a face-to-face or an in-person occurs. So it can be phone or ITV, but when documenting, utilize the phone. This is where a phone visit. And there's a future slide on that. But I also wanted to mention, and I think agencies, we've been doing regular updates, and the SSIS updates have also been, I think, very helpful in talking about things like the targeted case management interactive video assurance statement. And so providers that choose to use ITV, they need to attest to the effectiveness and the safety of using interactive video. And greater detail to that is in the bulletin 236903. Okay, next slide. Yeah.
Luke, We have a question quick
Yeah.
that came into the chat, wondering if, for those not familiar with CW-TCM eligibility effective dates, could you discuss how to determine what the effective date should be?
Okay.
Would it be easier to answer that now, or do we want to wait at the end?
You know, I think on the next slide, when we talk about your time counts, why don't we take that up there before we delve in? So,
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Luke.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Okay, so Ross, we're on slide 19. Okay, these new interactive videos, video standards, and we just kind of went through that. And let's go to slide 20. So now, as of May 12th, we've added ITV as a eligible contact in certain scenarios. So a client contact is a face-to-face, or an ITV contact as completed. Doesn't count if it's just attempted. Required for first contact. Collateral contact. A collateral contact, and this is by statute, it can be with foster parent, therapist, or other people that are really relevant and important to the success and the implementation of the child's goals as it's listed in the service plan. And children in placement, 60 miles or more from the agency or tribal border, telephone or ITV. At this point, document visit as phone, contacts for 2 months, then a face-to-face must occur going forward. So we'll pause here on slide 21, and Marcia, could you be so kind as to ask that question one more time, and we'll do our best here to answer it.
Sure. So it says, for those maybe not familiar with CW-TCM eligibility effective dates, could Luke discuss how to determine what the effective date would be?
Yeah, good question. So when you're working with a child and you've been assigned a case, and you, through the assessment, let's say that they're at risk of out-of-home placement. So you're working with the family, you devise a service plan. And so you've made that determination that the child is at risk of out-of-home placement. Your case finding might tie that statute with real circumstances that, the child had been put on a police hold for 72 hours due to a domestic disturbance at home, and the agency feels the need to provide targeted case management to the child. You've devised a service plan with the parent, received the parent's signature. This was on 6/27/2023. So you've selected the service plan. You've entered in the service plan date of 6/27/2023. That date autofills then to the CW-TCM effective date. So all your documentation is in place. 6/27/2023 is the effective date, and the system will then start looking at eligible claims, with the billable brass code and the activity that has a client contact or collateral contact and a face-to-face, and can generate claiming from there. So I hope that answers the question, or at least helps a little bit. And Marcia and others, feel free to chime in, because you're so very good at this.
I think that sounded good, Luke. Yep, that's pretty much what I would have said as well. So just making sure that they have their eligibility, which would have their assessment and their service plan effective. At that point, they're usually good to start claiming.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Okay, on slide 21, this is your time counts, and it does. It is important to document your time. It's part of the rate methodology for targeted case management. I won't go into the weeds other than to say that, you know, the percent of time working on TCM activities, you know, that's factored in, that's multiplied by the average monthly social service cost pool, which is then divided by the number of TCM clients served. So, and I know everyone is super busy, but documenting your time counts. Next slide, please. Okay, this is a new screen, and I hope that everyone is looking at the latest PowerPoint that was sent out, because this is the first training I've done with some new modes of contact. So, of course, the services, the brass codes, which generate a CW-TCM claim. The activities. What's new here is the QRTP Family and Permanency Team Meeting. And the note there is important that this team meeting is valid for claiming only if the contact method is in person or face-to-face. And at the bottom, contact method. Something new. Here's 7, interactive video, client not in client's home, or 9, interactive video in client's home. So a caseworker is in the office working with a client that's in their home. 9. So just keep in mind that phone is claimable only with activity 15. And there may be future releases in SSIS where a phone contact is used in combination with activity 15. But now utilizing that 60 miles plus, please use the phone and the 15 for that record. Okay, kind of moving through this fast, and again, my apologies for the technical difficulties, but let's look at slide 23. So, a documentation of contact. Identify the name of the child or the children the contact involves. Always select the child or children in the regarding field. And when we're talking about the case note, you know, it relates to the services to achieve the child's goals, and it's specific enough to determine who, what, where, when, and why, and what case management activity was provided. And we'll take a few look at some screenshots. Slide 24. Was regarding Elsa with a face-to-face at a child's residence. And right in that narrative box is where the visit information will be. Next slide. Okay, this contact would be relevant from March of 2020 until May 11 of 2023, where we utilized a subservice code and put in the method of contact in the contact note. Now with the new version of SSIS, writing that is not necessary because we have ITV as a contact method. Next slide, please. Yeah, and just something to keep in mind, CW-TCM is a monthly unit, so it's designed to encompass the entire month's worth of case management. So it's always a good idea to enter all your contacts. As you know or may not know, claims are claims are one per child per month. And it's been a long time since we've had, since Minnesota has had a TCM federal audit. But CMS does have individual claim reviews every year. And something that to keep in mind, because it is a monthly unit, for example, on this slide, there was a contact on 2619 and 2819. Let's say for some reason on 2619, maybe the worker intended to go back and fill out the contact information and the actual visit documentation, but didn't get to it or intended to. And then this claim was picked to review. However, on 2/8/2019, that contact was completed. So even though maybe the date of service for the review was 2/6/2019, the contact a few days later validated the claim. So case in point of a good idea to document all your contacts. All right, Ross, if you could go to 27, please. Okay, I'm just gonna be quiet for a minute or two, and if you could read this and think about what is the case management activity? Think of those four components of case management activity in I think slide 3. Yeah, in a short paragraph, there's a lot going on. But, there's a lot of eligible targeted case management activities going on. And as you can see, the note is not strictly about the parent. And, you know, so the case management activities, monitoring school attendance. Looks like the attendance has improved. Referring. So referring for a local dentist. Case manager provided a list of dentists in the area. Also, there's service coordination. When the parent has her appointments, maybe they could set up respite for Bobby on those days. So a rather short paragraph with quite a bit going on. let's look at the next slide. These are contacts in need of further documentation, and it's just not specific enough to the child, to the family, to actually what was done. Family visit, everyone present, reviewed safety, permanency, and well-being. Need to expound a bit more. TPR hearing, the judge ordered the following. Legal services are not a reimbursable targeted case management service, but certainly you can claim CW-TCM when you're providing a consultation, maybe before court or after court, but just verbatim of the judge's order is lacking the case management activity. And drove Bobby to school. It's true for all targeted case management that transportation alone is not claimable. But of course, driving Bobby to school, you might discuss, the classes that he enjoys, the timeline when he may graduate, or how things are going. So that would be the basis of the note. I should say too that at the department we are working on providing a little more guidance in the distinguishing targeted case management from Title 40 reimbursed services. So look for that. More to come. Next slide, please. These are just some contact tips, and for people that have been in the field a while or brand new, it's just kind of nice to review. Obviously, those are targeted case management activities when you're discussing and documenting physical health, education, developmental progress. Remember on that core component slide of case management, we're talking about planning. So any type of case planning, reevaluating goals. And especially in the child protection realm, and just identifying people the child can talk to if they don't feel safe. And just listening. I've always thought listening is a skill all unto itself. All right, slide 30, please. We get this question often, and it's a good one. Why is it that all children in out-of-home placement need to be seen in person, face-to-face, yet you can claim CW-TCM for 2 months by phone when they're in placement 60 miles or more from the agency border? And, really the answer is they're two different federal and state statutes. There are two different regulations. One is from the Children's Bureau, which is the caseworker monthly visit, that visits need to be in face-to-face. Targeted case management is a Medicaid service, and that's why it does allow that 60-day clause. But although CW-TCM can be claimed in that scenario, to satisfy the caseworker visits, federal and state statute, that visit must be done face-to-face. Okay, next slide, please. External worker contacts. So if let's say that you're the county of financial responsibility for a child that's in Arkansas, and you get reports from the ICPC worker of monthly face-to-face meetings. You can utilize an external worker for that Arkansas case manager's notes, and this way you're satisfying that in-person monthly contact. And an external worker, of course, is not doing random moments and entering their time, so it's separate from the targeted case management piece. All right, next slide. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about particular programs and considerations. Following slide speaks to dual services. And basically, dual case management or dual services is when there are two different workers from two different disciplines working with the same child. So let's say there's a child welfare targeted case management service, and also there's a children's mental health TCM worker involved. They would each need, of course, their own service plan. So two services can't work off the same plan. And they would have to be distinct. And the services, according to statute, would need to specify that one is doing something that's different from the other. Should there be a visit with the child welfare worker and the mental health worker, then their notes would be different. The child welfare worker might be working on reunification. The mental health worker might be working on referring to a therapist or a diagnostic. Okay, next slide. These are payment limitations. They're not claimable for or not reimbursable for the federal reimbursement for CW-TCM. So as mentioned, like legal services, therapy, treatment, home investigations. And home investigations, let's think about that, because I mean, there are times when a worker is assessing safety in a home, not necessarily providing case management to a child. But CW-TCM can be claimed in a home investigation when, of course, all the eligibility piece is completed. And there's a case management activity. Maybe the child is in need of a referral to a doctor. That would be a case management eligible activity. And I think I mentioned this, but now I'm in a work group with others where we're really we want to provide greater guidance in distinguishing, Title IV payments to Medicaid. So look for that down the line. Consultation with supervisors, coworkers, that's not a TCM reimbursable activity. MA-funded facilities, often referred to as Rule 5. The only exception is claiming can occur in the 30-day period prior to discharge, and this can happen to a maximum of twice in a calendar year. Cannot receive duplicative payments for the same service. So, for example, the Parent Support Outreach Program, agencies often wait until they have expended their grant and then start claiming CW-TCM for case management, but not at the same time. Okay, next slide. Okay, here are some of the benefits. I mean, you know, unlike a grant of a limited allocation, this is a reimbursable Medicaid service available to counties, tribes, and their contracted vendors. It provides revenue to counties and tribes to maintain and expand services for children and families, and it can help fund positions. So my hope is that you can utilize this CW-TCM to its fullest for the families and the children that you serve. You know, the next slide, I just kind of went through this rather quickly today, but the policy manual, that's the Minnesota Healthcare Program Manual. The CW-TCM policy guidelines, that bulletin just came out a few weeks ago to be modified to include the interactive video standards. As I said, we're going to keep that COVID-19 waiver 216904 in place for billing during that three-period year. And then, of course, the new bulletin that brings in the new standards. And, of course, the SSIS helpline, which they're phenomenal. And I'm sorry I'm not in person or at least on camera today, but we work very closely together. So questions that come our way, please feel free. We'll work hard to answer them. So I think there's like 10 minutes left here, and first of all, thank you. But for the next 10 minutes, we can discuss any questions that might be out there.
Luke, this is Marcia. There's nothing on the chat yet, but maybe we should give people a minute to throw something in there.
Sure. You know, while we're thinking about this, if folks are not signed up for the periodic SSIS updates, I really think that's a good idea. We've teamed up to talk about the ITV standards and the QRTP, family and permanency claiming. And it's just a nice avenue, and I know folks are really busy, and I'm assuming if these are SSIS mentors, you all are, but that's been a really good communication resource.
Still not seeing anything.
Okay. I do want to thank everyone, and again, my apologies for not being able to see you via camera. I've done a lot of WebEx, but for some reason it was not allowing me today. But that last slide will show my my email, also the CW-TCM queue that you can utilize, my direct phone number, and always happy to help when I can.
I'll just note that Heidi, thank you, Heidi. Heidi also threw in the link in the chat for people to subscribe to the SSIS updates.
Awesome. And I would recommend looking at the bulletins that are on the additional resources slide, and it's been kind of it's been a very busy spring with the changes to targeted case management, and I think this was the first PowerPoint that I've presented since May 12th, since those changes. I would look for us to refine that and continue to give guidance down the line, but it would be helpful to, I think it would be helpful to peruse those bulletins from time to time, save as the resource. Well, Marcia or Ross or Sam, if you have anything to add, or
Nothing from me. Anything from you, Sam?
No, this is Sam. Nothing from me. You did a great job, Luke. Thank you for presenting.
Yes, thank you.
thank you. Again, my apologies for the gremlins in the WebEx today, but I'm glad I had the opportunity. I really appreciate it. I always enjoy partnering with SSIS, and I know that the SSIS mentors do a great job. So thank you all very much.
All right, thanks, Luke. I guess with that, we'll wrap it up. Remember, folks, that your open discussion for July's Coffee Talk, make sure to register and be ready for that and come up with some good questions and topics and things to talk about. And we'll see you next month. Stay golden, Minnesota. Radio Ross out.